Welcome back to the channel. I'm the Roaming Bull Investor, and in this video I'm going to run through how I managed to achieve a portfolio value of £15,000 in my first year of investing. I'll be revealing exactly how I've been able to achieve such growth, the companies and sectors I'm invested in, and how I research into these fields. I'll be completely transparent, showing my buys and sells as well as the progress that I've made along the way. I'm only 20 and I'm learning as I go, but remember to hit that subscribe button so you can follow along on the journey with me. So with all that being said, let's get into the video. So this is a quick introduction to me. I am a 20-year-old degree apprentice working for National Grid on a typical wage, nothing special. As I receive my first paycheck, I realize I'm going to have to be strategic in the way that I invest it. So since January of 2025, so it's been a full year now, I've developed an interest in stock market from researching to buying into high quality companies to build long-term wealth. I managed to achieve a portfolio value of about £15,000 in my first year through diversification across different sectors such as stocks, gold and Bitcoin, as well as other investments such as my personal work-based pension, my lifetime ISA to save for a house, and my rainy day savings. I'm only 20, so I'm not expert, but I'm learning as I go, and the progress I made in my first year has been decent. So speaking of progress, I will now run through my performance on my Trading 212 account. So in my first year, I achieved a portfolio value of about £14,000. This is made up of about 30% being an S&P 500 ETF, the rest being a makeup of individual stocks. I also manage a 27% rate of return, and when we compare this to average historical return of the market being about 7 to 8%, I beat the market on about 3 times greater return. This is equal to about £1,720 in profit. So of the initial money that I put in, I made back £1,700, but at the all-time highs for my portfolio back in November, I was closer to £3,000. It shows how putting your money in over time, it can grow and return you bigger profit instead of just sitting there doing nothing. So being on the younger end, I'm more growth focused with holdings in companies like Nvidia and Robinhood, just to name a couple. But it is encouraging to receive dividends, and in my first year I made £75. Hopefully this will compound over the next couple of years. So in regards to my other two investments, I own digital gold with the Royal Mint. With the recent exponential growth in gold price, I am currently up 50% on gold, which is like a technology type of return. My other holding is Bitcoin, which is currently down about 20% due to a lot of uncertainty around crypto. But one thing which is always important to remember is I am in this for the long term. So it's important to stay consistent, stay patient, and let it all work out. So we can now have a look into my investing approach. I'll talk you through how I do my research, the sort of companies that I want to put my money into, and my strategy to build long-term wealth. So to build a strong portfolio, I spend a lot of time researching. Some of my main go-to examples are looking at some of the big news headlines. This is so I can get a deeper understanding of what's happening around the world right now and how it can partially affect the markets. Next is YouTube, which is one of my favorites. Every single day I watch Amit Kukraja's channel as he does a market open and close. There are so many other channels such as the Joseph Castle Show, the Geordie Pig Investor, and this is just to name a few. I also read a fair bit on various Substack posts. Some of my favorite are Amit, Dividenology, and Dividend Talks. Then finally, Gemini. It is also very useful for that initial research into a company or a sector, so it helps build that foundational understanding. This is just a few of the examples that I use, and they offer enough info from background into fundamentals, but of course there are so many other ways for you to research, so it depends on what you prefer. Looking into some of the sectors I feel will perform well this year. The first being space. My top pick, and one that I currently own, is ASTS. With SpaceX planning to go public this year at around $1.5 trillion, this seems very exciting for the company and for the sector. Next will be energy. I own a small amount of EOSC, and I see energy doing very well due to the constantly improving demand of the AI compute, especially with the use of data centers. Hopefully these two sectors perform well this year and outperform. So when it comes to spending my money, these are some of the requirements I have when it comes to investing. A key thing that I look out for is that if the company is a strong monopoly, for example ASML, they create chips using lithography machines which nobody else does. I bought in when the sentiment was very low, and since then I have made a decent return. Another key part is how the company performs fundamentally. For example, I want a free cash flow printing machine like Nvidia, who don't only just pay dividends, but they buy back their shares and they're able to continuously grow quarter over quarter, year over year. So I like companies that have very strong financials. Another part of this might be a sort of forgotten undervalued play like Google or Novo Nordisk. So company with sentiment is very low. Last year I bought in at very undervalued prices, and since then I've made a very decent return because fundamentally they're still strong, they're just forgotten, or there might be some headlines around them. So I like looking out for companies like this. Another thing, as I'm young, I like looking into growth stocks. To ensure that it's not just a gamble or a pump and dump, I need strong conviction and reasoning when it comes to buying into a company. For example, Zeta, which is another recent buy of mine, have beaten consistently for the last 17 quarters. So when it comes to investing, I look for strong companies which I can hold and sleep well at night with. I don't want it to be a gamble. I want to make sure that I have good, strong conviction. So looking into my portfolio, as we can see, I'm fairly well diversified, but the near future plan is to be growth focused. So that being said, my stocks portfolio dividend yield sits about 2%, so there's definitely growth when it comes to dividends, but overall I'm looking for the growth in terms of companies. Looking at my whole makeup, I'm heavily invested in stocks, about 90%, with 5% in Bitcoin and about 6% in gold. Gold has returned me a decent amount last year. When it comes to putting money in, I buy £200 into my S&P 500 ETF every single time I get paid from work. And anything else that I feel I need to DCA in, I will also put money in there. I do document my whole investing journey here on YouTube, but make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any of my future videos. So we can now have a look into my future plans. So I have two main aims for this year. The first being able to achieve a 10% rate of return for the year. Historically, the S&P 500 returns about 7 to 8% after being adjusted for inflation. If I'm going to spend hours of my time researching and looking for these high quality companies, I want to be able to beat the returns of the market. If not, I might as well just put my money into the S&P 500. My next aim is to have a portfolio value on my 2012 account in the region of 30 to 35,000 pounds. Now the markets will always be unpredictable, but I'm hoping for growth. But if I see any pullbacks, I will likely be putting more capital in to see more profit in the future. So I will be documenting my whole investing journey here on YouTube. I will be covering my monthly portfolio updates to show how I've performed for the month. I will be sharing my research into some strong and popular companies which I think that I want to buy into, and then other general investing content slash hope that could be helpful for other people or myself to learn from. So the aim of this is for me to be completely transparent in my wins and my losses, as well as my reasoning for opening and closing a position. This channel will portray my growth over time and I want to bring you along on the journey with me. I am only 20 and it is likely that mistakes will be made along the way. I have high expectations for myself, and although expectations don't always equal reality, I need to be able to learn from this. I want to show you that by staying consistent and being patient, long term it will always all work out. So thank you for watching the video. Remember to like, subscribe and leave a comment below as it really helps out the channel. I'm documenting my whole investing journey as a student apprentice here on YouTube, and if you want more videos like this, just let me know. Thank you for watching.